Right.
That's something
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
always going to be in your forefront. So as soon as you think about it, every step you got to understand it's a test.
Right.
The Most High is right there, right by your side.
Oh yeah.
So whatever, you got to think about it. Do I walk in the light or do I want to walk in the dark? Sometimes you're so up there that you don't want to walk in the light and you want to seek these pleasures. But then at the very end of it, you always come back to the term, I've been here before.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the ARvibes Good Vibes podcast. Today's episode is going to be totally different from anything you've seen. You've seen a couple interviews. We've had some talks about chakras and a couple different topics. Today, we got 4 people on here, and we're going to have a really good open discussion about spiritual awakening. And why we're doing this is because recently I've had a bunch of people come to me and ask questions about spiritual awakening, or am I going through a spiritual awakening? What's happening to me? Why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling that? And even I get the questions of how do I go to a spiritual awakening? And a lot of people, will come back and say you can't. But in reality, I feel like you can. And the people that we have here, I feel like we can help a lot of people move towards their awakening or understand their awakening more, embrace it more, and find ways to connect at a higher level. So before we get jumping in, I want to introduce the people I have on. I got my cousin John up in the top right over there. John, say what's up.
How you doing?
All right. Yeah. Got my buddy Mike. You guys have all met Mike on one of the earlier podcasts down the bottom right there. Say what's up, Mike. You look frozen, but if you're not frozen, say what's up. All right, Mike's frozen. We're going to Akeem, bottom left. Akeem, say what's up to the people. It's my boy Akeem.
Hey, what's going on?
And Mike will be back in no time. He froze real quick. He'll be back in no time. All right, yeah. So, guys, we don't really have an agenda here, and just so the community knows what's going on, I brought these 3 guys in here without any heads up. And I just told them like 2 seconds ago what we're talking about. So this is literally going to be on the fly. It's going to be straight from the heart. We're just going to have open conversation. Before we jump, it looks like John's gone. No, he's just in a dark spot. He's back. All right.
I'm back.
All right, cool. So we're going to get this going nice and simple. I want to start with you, Akeem, because of everyone I've connected with. I get a lot of knowledge that I couldn't even think was real when I talk to you at times. And I'm like, whoa, what? So why don't we just get it going with an open conversation? If you're cool with it, why don't you tell somebody about your first awakening or how you realized you were going through it, and then let's just get open conversation and just go from there.
All right. Sounds good. Well, hi, I'm Akeem. Anyways, about...
Oh, we're freezing up again. Hold on.
Doing things, going through life before. A couple guys, Mike knows me. I've kind of had a crazy past, kind of lived really freezing, fast. Bro.
Can you start it one more time? You were frozen that whole time, so we missed whatever you said. Yeah, you're coming in. You guys hear him fine?
Yeah, I'm hearing him.
All right.
You guys can hear me?
Yep.
All right. Maybe if I shut my Wi-Fi off, because I have data. Let's see. Am I in? Am I back?
Yeah, I see. Yep. I hear you. I don't see you.
Yeah, your photo's gone, but your voice is connected. We got a cool photo of you on one of your albums. I like that.
You an album? Nice.
Oh, yeah. Keen's got a bunch of music out.
Oh, there I am.
There we are.
You guys see me now?
Yeah, I see you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Well,
let's get it.
A resume of the story. I don't know what you guys heard, but for me, it kind of started 2 years ago. I kind of was lost in a way. I had lived a crazy life, lots of crazy stuff, fights, you know the spiel. But one day I went to work. I've had the worst days of my life. I've walked town to town to go to work, and I just thought to myself, it had to be something more. And I've thought this ever since I was a kid, a deep wonder for just something that I don't even know that I needed or wanted. And one day I'm like, me and my wife, we're just hanging out, got my kids, got my place, got everything, got a good job. And you would think to yourself that would just be enough. And so many people
Yeah.
think that that's going to be enough. And then one day I had this experience, kind of like something that happened to me as like a kid when I was in high school, but I didn't know what it was. I stayed up all night playing video games with one of my friends. And then my mom, she worked as a LNA. So she went to go to work one morning, and I think I was like 15 years old. And I was laying in the living room, and they had the old school Comcast where you could go down and then it's only connected to one TV, the main TV or whatever. So I go to the living room, I'd order movies when my mom left and shit, buy movies, whatever. But I'm like sitting there, and I realized I really had to pee. Like, I'm talking like it felt like I was going to pee myself. So I get up, and my mom usually takes out the laundry for us to fold, and all of a sudden the laundry on the couch is like not on the couch, and the doorway is like something different, but I have to pee. So it's through the kitchen I go, and then before you know it, I'm like in this place where it looks like the sky is like touching the ground. And it was the most realest dream I've ever had. And it was kind of scary because you kind of don't know what's going on. And I didn't even like really think on that until I got older. And like I said, 2 years ago, it felt like in my life, like I had to dig deep within myself to kind of, a lot of people talk about depression. A lot of people talk about this, but I've never felt it. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what those things are like. But when I thought that I felt it, it felt like there's something inside that had to, whatever. But every day I started praying. I'm talking meditating, praying, just something inside me. I spoke to my father. He's a Rastafarian. He doesn't eat meat, all that stuff. And he really, got into just, he told me when he was younger, my age, he went off into the woods and found himself in South America, into the forest, and studied plants, studied all these things. And once I started to study myself, one night, me and my wife were sitting at home, and we're talking about all this. We're going deep in mind, like just deep. We're cut off kind of from a lot of people. We live out in Franklin, New Hampshire. I don't know if a lot of people has been around there, but that's a little deep out there. We stopped talking to everyone that we talked to. We stopped drinking. We stopped going out to crazy parties. We stopped doing all that and started reading, getting more in touch, getting more knowledgeable, opening our eyes to the world, something that most of us don't do. And one night, we're sitting down, and we sat and meditated across from each other. And, we're in such deep thought that I felt like I could see right through her. And it scared the ever living shit out of me, because I felt like everything that I ever knew kind of was not what it seemed. Right. And as I'm going through these changes, I'm starting to notice like certain things, like I'm looking at a TV screen, it feels like it's directly talking to me, and I'm like, am I going crazy? And all of a sudden I feel like I'm
it's like we've been there together and experienced that.
Yeah, like, am I going crazy? You ever had that thought? Like pause.
Yo, you just set us all off.
Crazy?
You just set us all off.
And even my friends could attest to this, because I worked at this place called Surf Pro, and I told my friend, I'm like, dude, I do not know what the f***'s going on with me, but I feel like I'm finding deeper meaning in the weirdest places that it feels like it applies directly to me. And I'm like, I don't want to be egotistical and say that everything's revolving around me, but all of a sudden I feel like I'm in my own universe.
Mm-hmm.
And right. It's weird because you don't believe that about yourself, because today it's very hard. One of the things for anyone to do is ever believe in themselves.
Well, yeah, and the other thing people don't realize is that you have to realize that everybody is a reflection of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Everyone outside of yourself. That's how I look at people. You have to.
Yeah.
Love, honestly, there love is, for your fellow man does it.
Yeah, I mean,
love everyone you see, everything you see.
Yeah, because there's the addict in everybody. There's the murderer in everybody. There's the lover in everybody. There's the peace worker in everybody. I mean,
There's
everybody's
that yin and yang in everybody.
What do you want to see?
Well, you have to have
That's-
both. Without both,
Yeah.
you won't have balance. You have to
Exactly.
have it.
Right.
You know, you wouldn't know what good was if you didn't know what evil was. It
Right.
gotta
I
have
want to jump
him.
in there.
You know?
I love what you just said, Akeem, because like, and Mike, we talk every day almost. That's one of the biggest battles I had to accept is I was trying to go purely light, and it's great, but then you get so lonely and like it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, I talk to you every day, God. I hear you talking back to me, like, why do I feel so alone still? Like, what is wrong? And he's like, you still gotta have fun. He's like, when you experience the dark, do it in pleasurable ways, but don't hurt people, don't hurt other things. Like, do it where it's like you can have some pleasure, satisfaction, something like it's not like you want to go gamble, go to the casino for a night, have a good time. Like it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? And
honestly, it's a saying that I heard a saying that says God is born every day. He just refuses to think he is that.
Yeah,
So
right,
he runs from himself. And he runs
right.
runs and runs, and there's nowhere to run to. You can't outrun time. So you'll do everything to say you're God, you're this, you're that, you're that. You never know what you truly are because you refuse yourself. You push
God, you
yourself
are.
away.
Yeah.
You know?
God, you are. You are
And God tells
Yeah.
you himself through you everything is possible. But why don't you believe him?
right.
Right.
Mike and I have tried
the
telekinesis
teacher
lately. We've been
teaches
trying
us
to move
so
stuff.
much.
Yeah, because I mean, you honestly do create your own reality. You know, I mean,
Yep.
the
I
things that
truly
come
believe that.
Every
I
mindset,
can't even
everything.
explain it because we're
Everything.
talking about doing quantum hypnosis. You know, we're talking about doing quantum healing hypnosis. The next day, we get a video showing us how to do quantum healing hypnosis. The very
100%.
Exactly. It's because it's like the law of attraction. The law of attraction. Everything
Love.
you ever could want will come to you just by deep thought.
Good job.
Like literally, our thought runs the stream of like the universe. Honestly, because once everything flows in one, you're kind of like, okay, whenever you make a thought, it's like you would think that it's a drop of water in the ocean, but really it's the whole ocean.
You are the ocean.
You're moving. Pretty much you're not just a drop, you're the ocean. So all these thoughts, they're not just coming from nowhere.
Right.
These thoughts are literally being broadcasted on a station that people can't even pick up except for those who are looking, who are actually watching.
Seeking.
That's what started my awakening journey, man, because I was over here watching the whole media just go to crap back in March, you know? I'm like, after the George Floyd incident, I'm seeing everything go to shit. And I said, you know what? I shut off the TV. I haven't watched TV since.
You gotta shut out all that.
And then after that, I said, holy shit, they are programming you, TV programming.
Dude,
I'm like,
it's mind-blowing. I was literally just speaking about this. I was just speaking about this with Alex, actually, and I commented on Kev's post about it, which when he watches it, he'll be like, oh shit, he really did. But so I was watching Family Feud with Shannon and Mama, my fiance's grandparents and sister, and it was about Batman, and it said, what would he get mad at most if you made fun of? The first number one answer was his clothing. Okay, that was the most points.
Okay.
The second least amount, which was the 2 least points, was his dead parents. It made me sick. It made me sick.
And you know where the answers come from too. The majority
and
of
that's
people
normal to these people, and that is normal to people. How is that normal? Like
exactly, that it blows my mind. I'm just like that answer for his dead parents should have been number one. That should have been number one. That's what made Batman. That's what made him who he is. Was his parents dying.
I thought you said what people made fun of him for.
Yes.
Yeah, but like the most picked answer was his costume. Like that would be the thing that would bother him the most. Like no,
get him mad the most. And his dead parents were one of the least answers. Like as in least amount of points.
That's where frequency comes in. And I know Akeem probably thinking the same thing right now. Like that's the lowest.
That is like way below like average frequency. But that's what tells you what direction is being played right now. And there's certain things that I would like to say, but I can't say right now. But I'm just gonna say this. All of this
is gonna
programming, like he said, the television. Listen, everything that has to do with the mind, Tele. Come on now, come on. Now, tele and vision, obviously,
controls the power.
And they tell you what they're doing to you because that's how deep psychosis works.
Wow, vision.
That's
I
how
didn't
you
even think of
put people in deep psychosis. Because if I could tell you something, and it doesn't have to look good to you, it can look good to your friend or 4 people around you. But if those 4 people like it and you don't, you're the odd man out, and no one likes to be the odd man out.
Right.
So if they show you that everyone is doing this, then most of the sheeple, as some people call them, or simps or bots or whatever names they throw around now these days, those people will bite onto it because guess what? They don't know themselves.
I'm going to have to hop back on this after dinner. Dinner's finally ready.
All right. Come back in when you're done.
We'll get a deep one in, definitely. Oh,
hey, buddy.
Hi, Alex.
Hey. Say hi to the whole
ARvibes
community.
What's up, little man?
All right, I'll be back on. You guys going to be on this same one?
Yep. Just jump right back in.
All right, love you guys.
Love you too, bro.
Love, bro.
Akeem, I want to change topics real quick as Mike jumps out. I was talking to Mike the other day, and he said that you're going to understand this. Like, you guys must have talked about it. And see, I don't want to get too personal, but the way this came to me was in me going with the dark side. We were just talking about that earlier, and I try not to be too weird on my podcast, but I like honesty and genuine on top of anything. So, like, one of the issues that I battle with, and it's not even an issue, is masturbation at different times. Like, I don't want to do it, and the dark side will come in and be like, hey, you want to do this? Nah, go do this. And, like, usually I can control him, like, nah, not right now. But there's times where he gets me to get in a funk and not do the things I need to do that. So here's where it gets weird, though.
All right.
The last time I did it, hold on, you're going to hear this. This is crazy. The last time I did this, the first video that popped up that looked like something I wanted to watch, I'm like, all right, I'll check that out. When I played it, everything was in super slow motion. And what I realized was, I'm like, is this, like, I don't believe heaven and hell the way other people do, but I'm like, is this what hell would be, the lowest frequency? And because the way I was thinking of it is, this is not something I could live with every day. Like, just someone talking, like, let's just say a female talking sounded demonic because it was so slow motion. And what I did from there is I started listening to songs, different YouTube videos, just random stuff, and slowing down the speed. And it literally just was like, it reminded me of what the lowest frequency would be, where it's pure, just like, it just sounds uncomfortable. It's awkward. Like, nothing's pleasurable about it. It's like, what the hell is this place? Like, I don't like this vibration. And I started telling Mike about it, Akeem, and he's like, oh my God, you need to talk to Akeem about that. He gets that already. Like, there's no vibration there.
So all right, I got you on that. So what it is all right, how your chakras align. It's like you use your chakras as a remote.
Okay.
So if you are like me, I have an anxiety of being all the way up when I'm conscious. All right, I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. So in Egypt, right? You know how they built the statues, small and bigger. But why did they build small statues and bigger to represent kings and people? They were talking about the size of their intellect, the size of their conscience, the size of their morality, the
three-eye connection, right?
Exactly. But now you got to think about this. When you know knowledges, you can use those knowledges. Now you know of yourself. Now you know the chakras, how you go from the bottom all the way up. Right. A dial of how you kind of transcend, and how I use it. All right, the other day, when I feel so high off of life, without smoking, without drinking, with just the mere thought, I am way above the skylines. I am soaring. I am one with the ocean, the rain, the trees. I am everything.
Yep.
But sometimes when you get so big, you lose your equilibrium. You lose the sense of self, of just yourself. And you're one with everything. You merge with that for too long, you might forget your actual self.
Gotcha.
So for me, when I'm up there, I use sex to get back down, because your root chakra is
keeps you grounded and safe, secure, grounded. Yep. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So once you press that button, like, all right, I'm thinking of too much. I'm thinking of this. I need to go somewhere where there's no frequency. almost little to no
0
frequency.
point. 0
I need
point.
to be on a place where all my thoughts are just released.
Yep.
And then boom, you do that, you release, and then it
And then it
lasts
starts
for a
over.
little bit, and
Yep.
then you're exactly.
Yeah,
That's
so,
what hell is.
and before you go into that 0 point, you can
There's a
look
lot
at
of
that.
different.
You can look at that thought that made you want to do it. You know, what was it? What was it, that girl that you saw? What was it? Was it that ad,
Or what it
brought you
was.
to it, yeah. The awareness of what made you get that
was
thought.
that trigger? And then once you know what that trigger is, you're not going to want to do it no more, because you know
Right.
what? Now you recognize it. Okay, so I
Yeah.
want to do it because that trigger. Oh shit, that
Yeah,
triggered
you
me
have
because
to
of that.
confront
Oh
all
my
of those
God,
things.
you know. And then once you realize that trigger and you really explore that trigger, you're able to transmute that trigger into something positive. And now you're not doing that low vibration no more. Now you're doing that positive vibration. Now that doesn't just go for that sexual activity. I mean, that can go for anything.
Anything. Yeah,
You know,
exactly. I just
get
used an example of like
angry
just
at the
happened
guy,
recently, and I'm like,
at the guy cutting you off. Why are you getting angry at the guy cutting you off? Well, okay, let's focus on that. Okay, well, maybe
there it is.
maybe because you know this happened or that happened. Okay, well you transmuted. Okay,
There I am.
you know, I mean that it's
Yeah.
see it, recognize it, transmute it, 0 point, raise above it. That's how I do it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
that makes a lot of sense, and I honestly use kind of the same mantra in a way, because as soon as you recognize it, it can't hide from you.
Right.
That's something that's always going to be in your forefront. So as soon as you think about it, every step you got to understand it's a test.
Right.
Yep.
The Most High is right there, right by your side.
Oh yeah.
So whatever, you got to think about it. Do I walk in the light or do I want to walk in the dark? Sometimes you're so up there that you don't want to walk in the light and you want to seek these pleasures, but then at the very end of it, you always come back to the term that I've been here before.
Bro, I love that you said that.
know?
And it's every single time, if I let it get me and I get to the end, every single time, right when I'm done, I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like, what? I'm like, you're better than this. You know, like you didn't have to do that. I'm like, I know. I chose it though. And like, I don't get into like a regret phase and like fight myself, but it's a quick realization of like how you said, like, damn, I didn't even want to do that. Like I thought I did.
It's
and I'm like, I let
understandable.
my subconscious beat me. And I'm like, how'd I do that?
With men, it's understandable.
What's the
with men,
intent?
even with women, we don't even think it, but with women, you would never know.
Right. I mean, and if you think about it, I mean, something as small as that can affect a lot, because then that goes into watching videos, and then that goes into subjecting women, and then
where
that goes
the video
into
come from, who was used.
But that
to
goes
that
back. That goes back to what you were saying about the television programming and stuff like that. That really goes back to that.
It's lower vibration. Yep.
And then you can go back to saying, well, why you feel guilty after it? What was your intent going into it?
Right. Right.
If you have a positive intent going into it, you're gonna have a positive outcome. If you go into it have a negative intent, you're gonna have a negative intent.
That's the thing. I usually will go in with that positive intent. I'm like, I'm choosing this. I'll tell myself, I know I'm aware I'm choosing this. And then still, when I'm done, I'm like, I didn't want to choose that. What the hell? Like, why did I just choose that?
But think about it, though. Think about it. At least you have the choice. Other people that don't know and aren't awake, they don't even know what's happening to them.
Exactly.
So you know, it's you got to look at it as, damn, I have the choice. But what about the next man next to me?
That
doesn't even know what's going on.
Yeah, it ruins his life. Like, I'm supposed to be over here, but I'm going here instead. Yep.
You
know, that's your yin and yang. You just got to balance it out. What part do you want to be on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
John, talk about your awakening a little bit. Let's hear a little bit about your awakening.
Yeah, let's hear some of that.
So like I was saying, you know, I saw that video there, you know, the George Floyd incident, and everyone's arguing and everything like that. And I said, this is bullshit. What's going on? So like I said, I showed up the TV and I realized that, you know what, they're being programmed, because you got one advertising Black Lives Matter, and then you got another TV show, you know, showing violence and saying all lives matter, and then you got, you know, just picking sides. They were just picking sides. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
It's all the same thing that they're just putting different labels on.
So
It's literally all the
that's
same
exactly
thing.
what it was. So then I'm like, well, I agree with all lives matter, and we shouldn't have labels to begin with. We shouldn't be white. We shouldn't be black. We shouldn't be Hispanic. We shouldn't be.
We should just be people.
No,
Like,
yes. No, not even people, man, because even that's an identity. We should be
yeah, that
soul.
is true.
Because we should be soul. Because our soul, in my mind, I mean, granted, my truth is not your truth is not my truth, and it's beautiful, and I love it, but our
Unique.
soul is interdimensional, and we
100%.
live in multiple universes, in multiple dimensions, all happening right now. There's no
Yep.
past, there's no future. We're
Yep.
all here right now. We are aliens, and I don't want to use the word alien because they're not alien, they're us. Alien
But
means foreign.
We
It
are
means,
aliens.
something
See, but
that's not
if you
foreign.
say it
They
like
are
that,
us.
people don't
We are
even
them. We are
understand
what,
what you mean.
you know?
I
So
understand what you mean.
Me
He
too, yeah.
understands what you mean, but they won't.
They just picture an
It's
alien.
so weird,
Picture an
but
alien head, and they're like, we're not alien heads. It's like, no,
No.
you just think that's an
No.
alien. You've never seen a real alien, but you just think that's what an alien is because someone told you that's what an alien was.
So I went in and I started meditating. After I shut off the TV, I started meditating. I said, what makes a person think what they think? What
that is true.
sparks that thought from
Will
coming
come
into
from.
existence in their brain? What makes a person act on those thoughts? And I meditated on those 3 questions, and I just meditated and meditated and meditated. And holy shit, did I get my answers. Be careful what you ask for because you will get it. And I got it all. And I got it all at once. And it was one big download that just came down from the sky in a golden white light and just hit my crown chakra
Just
and went,
hit you
boom.
like a beam of light, just boom.
You have
It's an amazing feeling when you know you're connected to it. When you're going through an awakening, like, John, have you had multiple awakenings yet?
So this is my
Yeah,
first
back-
time.
Mind-blowing for me when I realized you can have more than one. I was like, what the fuck, again? I'm like, this doesn't stop?
Yes, because I was the one that told you that you have multiple awakenings because I think there was an early point in my childhood where I always knew. I saw my dead grandfather after he passed away. We had all his stuff in the living room, and it was all piled up on the dining room table and on the floor because it was all in boxes and everything. And it was maybe 2 days after his death, or maybe 3 days after his death. And he walked into my bedroom and he says, "Don't worry, John, everything's going to be okay." And my mom and dad had a intercom back then. And I yelled, "Mama, come here, come here." So she comes running in. I'm like, "I just saw Grandpa." "No, you didn't. No, you didn't. He's in heaven." I said, "Don't tell me what I didn't see. I saw Grandpa. You can't tell me that I didn't see Grandpa. I saw Grandpa. He was right here, clear as day. Granted, I couldn't touch him. I saw his whole figure. It was a white light energy, and it was just a shadow, a light shadow figure of him. Like, I don't want to say shadow dark because it was light, but it was like a figurine of him, it was just coming across, life-size body and everything. "Don't worry,
like
John, everything's gonna be okay."
projected across.
Right,
Like
right,
just projected.
Yeah, like if you're walking through, if you were to walk through a projector, you get that light that goes on you. Yes, yeah, very much like that. Yes. And so then that was like my first experience to something unnatural, but then I've also had recurrent nightmares, and I know what those recurrent nightmares are, and that's nothing more than my connection to my astro travel. I astro travel like crazy, and I do it uncontrollably. I will end up
better at it, it seems, right?
Sometimes.
I will end up in places that I don't really mean to, in forms that I don't mean to. Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense. Honestly, it's a little fun. And then sometimes there's other things like, all right, imagine being able to like be in certain places whenever you wanted and maybe look through someone else's eyes and stuff.
He does it all the time. John does it all the time.
So honestly, a lot of people don't understand because people like us aren't supposed to really
talk about it. We're not supposed to talk about it. We're not supposed to talk about it.
That's my problem. That's my problem because I gotta be honest. That's been the hardest realization with the awakening, and I've had some dark moments because of how much I talk. But the hardest part for me is my whole life, and I'm gonna connect to when I was a kid. I was raised with my grandparents. The one thing, my grandma, she was an angel for sure. when I look back now. But everything, the one thing was, you talk too much, you talk too much, you talk too much. Shut up, shut up. I'm like, what? And I get it. Like, it was always like just a sign, like, you're gonna keep waking up, like, and you really just get to that point where you're like, whoa, why does nobody else know what I know right now? This doesn't make sense.
Because
it's hard that nobody else knows it.
You emptied your cup.
They don't ask the right questions. They don't ask the right questions.
No, never do. It's weird. It's like they're so oblivious, and you're just like, how could you be this oblivious? Like, this is absurd, but whatever. Like,
I like to, like, one of the things that got me in trouble a while back was like showing off magic, I guess. And when I say magic, I never liked magic tricks. Like, when I say magic, I mean God. And I know you both are going to get that. Like, God does magic if you are really connected, if you're purely working from the heart and it's real. God does magic. And you can show people. But I realized that backfired on me at times where people were like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, that wasn't the most precious thing you've ever seen in your life.
You've ever seen, yeah.
And they're like, what the? I don't like witchcraft and voodoo. Dude. I'm like, that's not witch. I asked God to do something and he did it. That ain't witchcraft and voodoo. Like, what?
Dude, people will call it everything. People will put a label on all of it because guess what? They need a label. They need something to keep them grounded to whatever reality keeps them, 100%. Whatever. Like, if they could go to church every weekend and pray after they've gotten drunk all week, crash, did this, do this, and as soon as they pray, they're holy again until the next week they're on their,
true,
doing crazy shit.
You just gave me my message, and that was grounding because I said I astro travel and I can't control it, and it's all about grounding. So thank you.
I want to spin into another direction too. Based off, we've said it a couple times about the labels. There's a song that I found, and you guys are going to get this, and I hope the community gets it. That's why we're having this podcast tonight, is because I don't want people just to hear my perspective, things that happen to me, be like, oh, is he crazy? Or like, is this real? When other people are telling you they get these things, like, it makes sense. So like, I was seeking, and I'm sure you guys get that music will just come to you. Songs you've never known, and they'll just come to your head, and you're like, I got to look it up, and you're like, oh shit, and it's a message every time. So there's this song. It's called Kids, Kidz, from Current Joys. And I'm like, what is it? Let me hear it. And it was the simplest message, so deep. But it's early in the song. It says something like, I'm just a kid. I never use my brain. And it talks like in the beginning. It's like you're a kid. You start off only operating out of your heart. And then you don't know if you're a boy or a girl. You don't have a label yet.
You move on feeling, yeah.
Yep, and I connected with that so deep because I'm one of 9. I have sisters, and I used to play with my sister's Barbie car in the hallway, like talking to myself, driving that thing around with my little wrestling figures in it. My sisters were trying to do makeup on us, paint our nails. But at some age, you decide that's not okay anymore. I'm a boy. And for girls, it's like, if you have sisters, I have a big family. Like, they all want to do sports and other things. My sisters weirdly never went through like the change, but I've seen friends I grew up with who are like, I'm into this, I'm into that, and all of a sudden I'm a girl now. Like, I wear dresses. I don't play outside with the boys like that anymore. It's not what I do. I paint my nails every week. And that's the initial label right there. I'm a boy, I'm a girl, and it has nothing to do with sexuality. And then the song progresses into, now there's lightning in my brain. I took that as thought. And that's when you never go back. And that's when you have to have that spiritual awakening. Because if you don't have that awakening, the rest of your life is thinking. And what I try to tell people is thoughts are good when you're using them the right way. But when you're operating purely from the heart, out of love and out of pure passion, that's when all the magic just happens automatically. And it's beautiful. You don't have to think it. And again, you said law of attraction. The biggest thing about that I point out to people is when you're focusing on law of attraction, law of love, you're not out there like, I want this, I want that, I want this. That's manifesting, that's affirmations. Attraction means it comes to you. When someone's attracted to you or something's attracted to you, it comes to you. So if you're just putting out the right frequency and the right energy, things are, you attract things. You don't have to go seeking. They come right to you. The things you deserve and want in the heart, they just start coming. And to the point where it's literally mind-blowing. You're like, how are these things just keep coming left? And I was watching, John, the video you sent me earlier today, when the woman was talking about, she's like, it never stops. Like, you get to a point when you're operating at this level.
Never stops.
It's better. 30 years later, you're like, when does it stop getting better? When you decide you don't want to seek anymore. When you decide you don't want to feel that anymore. When you decide you got enough and you're good. And that's another weird thing is That's where I see a lot of famous people go. They know how to do this. They feel the heart. They feel God. I'll use Justin Bieber. He's one of my favorite examples. He's at home in Canada making beautiful songs on YouTube. Purely passionate, lovable kid. Usher finds him. They bring him out to LA. They start making him bigger and bigger. His music gets darker and darker. He's having troubles. He's doing drugs, doing a lot of bad things. He goes home, finds a new glove, and now what's he making music about? Every single song that kid makes now is either a message about the elites that are bad, or it's about God and love.
Another good
song. And it's like beautiful. He realized that he went dark and he had to wake up again. He had to. And a lot of famous people I noticed don't ever get that wake up again. They just feel like they got what they want, they know everything, and then they just go down a dark path for a long time. You know what I mean?
That's just it. It's the nature of the beast sometimes, and sometimes it's played out like that to the fact of, I know so many people who, if they would get famous or get whatever, probably wouldn't last long.
Right.
Because they have a hole that will never be filled. Never be filled.
Yeah.
Not by any material in this world. And that's the problem with this world. Think about it. They look at all the materials
100%.
like it's real. And they forget that everything that you see with these eyes were created by us.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that you see came into an existence from your mind, because we had to see what we were making first before we made it.
I can't
Whoever
even talk
made
about
whatever, they had the visual realization of whatever they wanted to make, from a simple chair to a car to a fucking computer with not a computer. I call it a brain, to making a whole brain.
Dude, to a black hole in space. We all have known what black holes were in space since we were children. Our parents knew what black holes were. Their parents, and NASA announced, I think it was a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, that we discovered our first black hole. Like our first black hole. I'm like, wait a minute. I've always known what a black hole is. That don't make sense. And they're like, yeah, they were just made up, and now all of a sudden they're really here. Like, we made that. Humanity made that black hole for some reason.
We talk about manifestation all the time, but a big thing with law of attraction that I like to point out with law of attraction is look at John Bones Jones, for instance.
Love him.
Yeah.
When he won his first debut fight in UFC, he started writing on napkins, signing it.
It was before the championship fight.
John Bones Jones, champ, 2011. John Bones Jones, champ. ESPN announcers just like, why are you writing that? He's like, come on, baby, law of attraction. I just put that out to millions of fans. He's just like, watch. In 2011, I'm gonna be the champ. And sure as shit, November 2011, he became the champion of the UFC.
Hold on, let's get the big detail there. He wasn't supposed to have that title fight. The guy who was supposed to fight got hurt. They asked John Bones on like a week notice, can you take this fight? And he was like, yeah, sure. Beat Shogun, won the belt, never fucking lost it again, except for when he smoked some weed like a normal human. He wasn't even supposed to have that fight, Mike. That wasn't even his fight. He took it on short notice.
But the law of attraction worked at his benefit.
He manifested it, 100%. 100%. Actually, it's funny you said that, because for anybody in the community watching, if you go to our YouTube page, the very first video we made for ARvibes is like celebrities talking law of attraction, and that exact story is in that compilation. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's already got like 2,000 plus views. I feel good about it. It was one of my better videos we made. It's got Tom Brady, Will Smith, Oprah, John Jones, Conor McGregor. Just listen to them talk about law of attraction. It's like, these people get to where they go. Mike, we talk about it in songs all the time. All these artists tell you exactly what they do to get where they go, and we all just think it's fake. Like, no, that's not how it works. No, and that's exactly how it works.
Yeah, completely. Because I'm over here listening to meditation music.
It's because it's hard to believe in something that wasn't taught as a child to a lot of people. They can't unlearn what they've been taught.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
To just fit in this box. The box that's all they know. And if they step out of it, it's terrifying. There's nothing to cushion their conscious awakening or their fall. Their fall from everything. Because, like I was saying, it's one of the things where materials become so real to people that they'd rather, over a PlayStation, over a TV, over $5, over a cigarette, someone would kill someone.
Yeah.
See, because people don't realize.
For what?
I know somebody who was killed over a PlayStation too, honestly. I know somebody who was killed over a PlayStation.
Yeah, like think about that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
that's just commercialism, and I can't get into commercialism because that's just it pains
It's
me,
like
you
that.
know.
Yeah,
Because
well,
like that
here's
because
our
song by
next
Hobson.
in my
line.
eyes, I go into my meditation, I close my eyes, and I know that you don't need to buy anything. You you can you can make it. You can do it, you know. Shit.
Exactly. But that's the thing. How is the next generation gonna know that?
But do you
How's
know
the
what I'm
next
talking about?
generation gonna know
Yeah.
that? Who's
Do
telling
you
them that?
do you know what I'm talking about? I mean,
Frequencies. Yeah, you match
like
frequencies.
I'm talking code here. Like,
Yeah, you match frequencies.
I know what
100%.
I know exactly what you're. I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
because
But like I said,
because
how is
I get technology downloads. Like I know that everything is sound and frequency and light. Okay, so once you know that particular sound and light frequency, it's like a copy paste. You don't
Yep.
need to fucking. Anyways, positive. I can't go commercial because I go dark and I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, well,
I can't do it.
honestly, it's whose ever mentality can take it. Some people's mind crack at the seams when they start to even barely peek at those types of things.
But do you understand what I'm saying? It's like everything is
Oh,
sound vibration, light vibration. If you can figure out that
So
sound,
it's down to the simple level of
it's copy
particle and wave.
paste. It's copy
Where-
paste.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's
it's
just
literally-
literally, it's kind of like what me and Alex were doing before I left, before I came down to Philly with the whole stone thing in the hand and everything like that. And
We're working on telekinesis and levitated. We're getting close. We get shit moving. Like
Dude.
people, it's hard to talk about
man.
the whole world, but we get shit moving. We haven't gone to like lift up yet, but we literally, I did it with my niece, dude. I had a piece of straw paper on the table and I was staring at it. And she's like, "How'd you move that?" But I couldn't get it up, but I got it to move just looking at it, and I looked at it like as a triangle. I was like in there, like I was like blackness around me. I zoned in, like I went into like tunnel vision right on it.
Your muscle. You gotta flex your muscle. When you use a muscle, you gotta flex it, and then once you start to get to a certain point, it'll become easier. But it's all about self-doubt of it being real or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's literally what it comes down to. And only you can break
I
that.
tell people to watch
reality.
movies, dude.
Their reality.
You watch superhero movies, you learn things, and it's like
Dude.
they show us those movies for a reason, not to like say, "Hey, this is cool." It's like, "Hey, you guys need to wake up. Like this could be reality if you want it to be."
It's that, and it's a message to those who can read it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yes.
Like Artemis Fowl, Thor, all of them.
Oh
Dude.
man.
But
I'm
a
not
lot of
there
people,
yet,
a lot of people don't even watch those movies because it's
Corny.
It's past their vision of their.
I got you.
Their eye.
My whole arm is all just.
Let's go to a different direction. I want to go to a different direction. More for like, and I'm sure you guys have all had people come to you. I have, Mike, I know you have. Akeem, I know you definitely have without knowing. And John, people come to you, and it's not necessarily questioning the awakening, but somebody that's like, there's something different with me. Nobody else gets me. Why can't I talk about this to anybody? What's like, who wants to jump in first? And like, what's the best advice to like understand your awakening? Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people are going through it and have no idea what's happening. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, what's happening? I don't like this. And they shut it down. Yeah, they shut it down.
Because a lot of people go through many spiritual awakenings before they're actually awakened. And they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
They don't even realize it. You know what I mean?
Like, shut it down. They shut it down subconsciously.
Mine started, I'd have to say when did I go down to Florida and we were home? 2018, it started. Like I knew about signs and I knew about paying attention for signs before that. Ever since I started doing AA, I've learned this stuff. Because of AA and paying attention to like, the signs. Pay attention for the miracle that happened. The signs. But they didn't fully disclose it. I didn't understand. I didn't understand what they meant by it whatsoever until
they didn't understand what they were telling you
yet.
Until it happened, you know what I mean? And when it happened, I was walking to the store and I was about to go. I was trying to stay completely sober then, and I was about to go relapse and go cop a couple Four Locos. Walk through the gas station. All of a sudden, I look up. My boy's favorite number was on the gas pump. That's the only number, 4700. That's it. His favorite number was 47. I now know what 47 means.
Oh yeah, we talked about this the other day.
47 is not only the number of balance, but it's also the fourth and the seventh chakra, your heart and your brain. Okay, like your heart and your brain.
That's the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang. The two battles.
The balance, yes, the balance of the of eternity, of life. But it's kind of like me and you were talking about, Akeem, before, the infinity sign. How our worlds are they're parallel. Heaven, hell, and earth. They're all parallel. They're all the infinity sign.
We are walking
That's all
paradox.
Exactly. And what it like it's scary being able to envision everything before it happens. Honestly, that's the part that that's the part that trips me out a little bit. Okay, like I love it, but it's also like, damn, like why is this happening? Like why did I just see this before it happened? Like what is going on? And then I also think like, oh, that's because of my negative thought that happened earlier, and like that's how I felt when I got up. So this is all happening now. Like so it's like. It's mind blowing. Like
your heart has to be lighter than a feather.
Yes,
exactly.
Your heart has to be lighter than a feather.
Wow.
Think about the balance after you die. They weigh you against a feather.
Now you're gonna bring in Thoth.
They weigh you against a feather.
Man, I can bring in Thoth, and that's not wow. He's a big
Thoth,
bean,
my
and
favorite friend.
He just.
Yo, after school on YouTube, they have a whole thing about that. The prophecies. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Wow.
Well,
I love it.
What if you know it was all written? It was all written before, and then we're here again.
System of a Down. System of a Down has one of their songs.
No,
I think it's
when you just said that, it reminded me of that thing on Midnight Madness. I mean Midnight
Gospel.
Midnight Gospel. Yeah.
Which one? Which one?
The one with the prison.
By the way, everyone should watch.
Coming back.
You keep coming back
and keep coming back to the same story, and you have to choose a different path each time to get to.
And you progress every time until you
yes, 100%.
That's what reincarnation is, 100%. And reincarnation is if you don't wake up. If you live 50 years and you die and you never had that awakening, you're gonna go get balanced out real quick. They're gonna either send you somewhere bad, or they're gonna send you right back and try it again.
You guys know about Dante's Inferno, the nine gates or whatever, or Dante? Anyone ever heard of that?
I've heard
Virgil
of it, but I don't
and
know.
all that.
9 gates. That reminds me of just like also your 7 chakras and the earth chakra and the spirit chakra. That's
see those things. Honestly, once you learn to control it, that's why people start calling each other alchemists and stuff like that. Because with the platonic solids and stuff like that, they represent each element, from fire to spirit to water to earth. And once you know those symbols, you can control it. But only if you truly get the meaning of those. Like, honestly, when I go into deep thought, before I open my consciousness to that interdimensional highway, to that highway where we're all traveling when we go in there. And sometimes we can fly right at each other. It's the frequencies that we pick up. And once we pick up these frequencies and we're gone, you have to be safe out there. So how do you be safe? How are you safe? You need to master the elements. How you master these elements, the whole universe is made of mathematics.
Oh, cool.
So in order, before there was language, before there was words, there was math. 2 and 2 equals 4. The whole world could tell you this, and they don't need to speak any words. So if you could
words were created for spells, by the way, spelling.
Hey. Honestly,
everything we say puts on a certain frequency and does stuff.
They don't know. Every word is.
Do you agree with that? Like everything we say comes out at a certain frequency, and it does something. Every single word. When you say "I love you" and you say "I fucking hate you," it literally puts out a different frequency.
Yes, but you are the frequency. Okay, you are the frequency. Then
that's
your emotions,
how the channeling works.
Yes, then your emotions and your sound transmits that frequency. And then you have a receiver. Then you have a receiver who acts on that message. And depending upon where they are in their train of thought depends upon the message that they receive and how they respond.
Makes sense.
Does that?
It makes sense. And it makes sense completely because also the 4th dimension, which is time,
There
Which
is no such thing
time?
as
It's
time.
important to mention that.
There is no time. There is no.
Well,
All right,
well,
go.
well.
I
Hold
apologize.
on.
I apologize. Go ahead.
Self-create. Well. What they created as time.
As time. Yep.
Okay.
I should have worded that better. What
Okay.
they created as time.
Okay.
Like
Now,
how we
for
have
all
7
those
days
people
where it shouldn't be
trapped in
7
that
days a week.
illusion,
Yes.
for everyone trapped in that illusion of time, think
Right.
about it. They have a past, they have this, they have this. We're here all the fucking time.
Right.
Or what they call as time.
Right.
It doesn't move anywhere for me.
Right.
One, it turns day to night. Do you go anywhere? Where do you go?
Right.
We are always here, but what is the illusion?
Right. Your
A lot of
body's
people
the
don't
your body's the
understand.
vehicle. Yeah, your body's the vehicle.
Exactly.
Your soul is you. You are always here. It's always now.
And we're driving this like it's, no tomorrow.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. 100%.
Let's move into if you guys are all cool that I assume you all agree meditation is one of the best tools while you're going through an awakening, because at least for me, I let you guys speak on too. For me,
yeah,
that's where most of my messages are going to come, when I just sit the hell down, don't move, and go. When I go, that's when everything starts coming. It's literally dreaming during the day. It's going into a dream in a sense, if you do it right. And I feel like what type of messages can we give to people to help them understand meditation better? Because that's the biggest pushback I get, is like people are like, I can't do it. I can't shut my thoughts off. You're not supposed to say thoughts off. Yes, you got to understand those thoughts. Why are they coming? Where are they coming from? Like, why? You know what I mean? And
they're like clickbait. Thoughts are like clickbait.
Yes, that's the best way I've ever heard
click
that.
on one, you're thinking about deep down. There's spams that you see. Think about it. When I meditate, I picture myself in, I don't know, it's like I'm sitting somewhere. There's no sun, but there's light. I don't know where the light's coming from.
Yep.
And every thought that I have, it's kind of like I'm there. I'm everywhere. I am everything. And once you understand you're unlocking, there's certain things that come across your I don't even know where to call it, your train of thought, the train that rides through, bringing all these thoughts. Now, these thoughts are kind of, like I said earlier, in the air. It's frequency. So you got all these things, you're channel surfing, and when you're open, oh man,
it's insane.
There's things that seep in there. Good, evil, it doesn't matter. Your brain doesn't have a filter once you open.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You got to decide.
When that happens, I tend to try and tune into my name being called, as in my actual name, not like, oh, Mike, or hey, what's up, man? Like, no, if I hear
the
Michael,
that they gave you,
I'm just like, okay,
name.
like I'll listen to what you have to say, because and it just blows my mind, because that to me is where society labels schizophrenia.
Yes.
Well, Mike, obviously they have. Well, if they don't have a name for it, then
once again we're going back to labels. And,
I was just about to say they have to have a name for it.
Right. I believe that it's not that. I believe that it's not that at all. I don't believe in schizophrenia. I don't believe in that. Why? Because I just believe that they haven't learned how to turn off those thoughts, as in they haven't learned how to choose and pick which thought. They haven't processed them right. That's it. That's where,
because when you start messing with things like that,
I would say they don't have control over
their
frequency.
You know what happens when you start messing.
Exactly. That too. Your thought. I mean, your frequency, your thought, whatever you want to call it, is still, they don't have control over themselves. So it just keeps going and keeps going, and then they act out on all these different things, and boom, they get labeled as schizophrenic, or get put into the mental hospital because they're crazy or something like that. Like they don't know how to process it. They don't know how to stay in reality as well.
Let's talk about that. When I was into my awakening process, I was meditating, thinking about those 3 questions I mentioned earlier. What makes a person think? What sparks that thought from coming into existence, and what makes that person act on that thought? So I mean, it all goes back to those 3.
You're freezing, John.
What happened? Oh, he froze.
He froze. All right. We'll let him come back. And Mike, I want to
maybe it was just too deep right there.
Like, no, you just said something that connected from you.
People
we lost you for a while.
What happened?
Somewhat start over there. We lost
right
you for
at the beginning. Right at the beginning.
Come on.
It's frequencies. People don't like these conversations.
So I was saying that goes back to my three
Try and
questions
get
of
this
what makes
bunny
that
to come
person
over to me.
think, what makes that person think, what makes
He froze again.
Yep. What's happening is, and all of us can attest to this. Some people just
I
don't
know.
get it. So, but when you're getting into a frequency that's going to awaken other people, that's when other
thought, they
people
act
get
on
in and
impulse.
stop it. We lost you
They act
again,
on
John.
impulse and they want to fit in.
We missed you for the whole thing. They don't want that message coming out. They keep blocking you.
Really?
Yeah.
Right
That
when
whole
you
message just got blocked out.
All right. All right. So all right. So I was saying that basically
We're all laughing because we literally know, like, why.
and people need to understand, we don't just think that we're getting blocked out. Like, if you understood the conversations we have had and with other people on a regular basis, you know exactly when you get blocked out and when you don't. Like, it's all you get blocked out when you're supposed to get blocked out, because it's
Yep.
It's the same thing as
Yeah,
traveling, television, all that.
it's
We're being
traveling
watched
to
at
the
all
deep
times.
waters. It's
Yeah,
going
we're
to
going-
the deep waters. So, you know,
Yeah.
For real.
they,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Shit. God damn. All right. So anyway,
Don't yell at God. It's not his fault. I'm just kidding.
so
he finds it hilarious, I'm sure of it. He has to have a sense of humor.
Of course.
We have a great time because I tell him all the time, it doesn't matter because it all depends on the tone of my voice and my intent when I say it. So
Yeah.
when I first, that also goes back into my awakening. It also feeds into the story. So anyways, back to when I was meditating on those three questions. After that, I went in and I said, well, there are different soul aspects of you that's coming through. And I'm like, okay, so people don't act on their thought, they act on impulse, and they act on what other people are thinking and what other people are doing. So they're not responding to their true self. And I
A mirror of what they think they want to be like in a sense of reflections and where they want to be like that. Like say like a fat girl looks into a mirror and she wants to be skinny. So she in her mind envisions that's what, you know, life is kind of about or what she wants. But then what if she gets that and then that's not it?
Right.
You know, you know.
And then I was thinking with that whole aspect of like my different soul aspects coming out and having those different soul aspects coming out. I'm thinking, okay, well, which thought do I want to act on? If I don't want to act on impulse, what thought do I want to act on? And all these different voices, well, different variations of my own voice started coming through. And they're like, well, you can do it this way, you can do it that way, you can do it this way, you can do it that way. And I'm like, holy shit, am I talking to myself? And the answer I got was, we are one.
Well,
we are all one. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Your infinite thought.
What do you mean we are one? We are all one. Am I talking to different variations of myself? And they're like, no, he's got it. He's got it. He's got it. And my body just jumps up with joy, like, oh my God, he's on here. I was like, what the hell's happening? Man. So then I'm like, oh my God, am I going insane? What the hell's happening? I'm going freaking crazy. I'm going nuts. I'm talking to myself. What the hell's happening? Yeah, I get it happens when you awaken. So if that is any comfort for anybody out there that might be dealing with that, then you're not alone, because now you're thinking.
Get you out of the chair.
You know.
I got you.
Like you still want that, so.
Oh yeah. Well, you asked for a message out there, right?
Hot. Yo, Mike, microphone.
What
Damn
happened?
loud. It's
my
like
microphone.
Who's?
No, Mike.
Who's?
It's like extra. I don't know why. Is it just me?
I don't know.
It's better now. No, like John was saying, I literally couldn't hear him at all. Like your microphone was like picking way up and his was going quiet. I'm like, why is it doing that? I didn't know if that was just me.
That's weird. Maybe his room was louder.
Maybe it's because I got my headphones.
Yeah, that's good call. I should probably do the same.
I'm trying to think of where the direction we can go in with this conversation. It's spiritual awakening can go anywhere. You can. It's
Yeah, I mean,
this
For
this
real, it
podcast I
really
wanted to
can.
do more for
But
the
no,
people.
I'm
who don't know
gonna
what's
hop.
happening.
I'm gonna hop off until Dana gets out of the tub so that I can take care of little man.
All right, brother.
All
Come
right.
back in.
Bye.
If we're still on,
You
we're
guys
still
will be
on. Come
back on
in.
before I get back
All
on.
right. All right.
All right, sounds good.
I'll have back on.
We'll
I
be
love
here.
you guys.
Love you, brother.
Love, bro.
have a good one, man. All right, but
John, without putting you on blast on the podcast, I know you can't just get channeled whenever you feel like it, but I know you're getting way more connected to the point where I feel like you might be able to. Are you open to, like, I want to, like, Akeem, I don't know how often you can channel other things as well. Like, me, we have different gifts. I don't do channeling. I just have visions and connect, and I can see things that are coming. I put it this way: if I do like a really deep meditation, I'll get to a level where I'll pass things that I know John's talked to because he's talked to me from them, and it's like, oh my god, I already met them. But it's like for some reason, for like my gifts, I can't just get up and talk to anything. It's like I go straight to the source, and it's just me and him. And it's like I'll pass things getting there, but I can never stop at those things and like have a conversation. I don't know why, and I don't know if it's just different gifts. If that makes sense. Like I'll come across other things as I go up, but I can't stop and stay with them.
So how does your meditation practice look like?
Always different. I do all different types of meditation.
Like
All
for
different.
me,
Today I did.
When I'm channeling, it's
ahead.
nothing more than just meditating and connecting to myself and asking questions, and then the answers come.
Yep, to your higher self.
It's nothing more than that. So to say that you can't channel, I would say you don't realize what you're doing. Like when you're talking to yourself and you're getting you're in that meditative state, and you're in that moment of that peace that you get into. So for me, what I don't know, I get in my position, my little crisscross position here. I get my chakras aligned, and then after that, I just sit here and I close my eyes and I put that black sheet in front of me. There's no thoughts. There's no emotion.
Yeah, just a blank space.
There's no sound. I'm in space, and the space has no light. It's just complete dark. And then once you're in that dark space, you control your breaths. And you want to slow down your breaths and just calm down, and listen to your heartbeat. And as you're listening to your heartbeat, you can put your hand on your heart too, so you can feel it.
Oh,
and then,
dude, I feel my heart all day, every day. I don't know how normal that is. Like I literally can feel it right now. Like I could tell you the pattern of my heartbeat right this second. I always feel my heart. I don't know, like, and that's new in the last few years. Or maybe I just never realized it before, but like I'm always very conscious of my heartbeat, like all the time. If I'm listening to music, I can catch it. I think I was talking to you about, John. I'll catch or one of you guys I was talking to, I'll catch my heartbeat, switch to the frequency of a song I'm really into, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what's happening? That's awesome. Like I can feel it.
It's becoming like self-aware of everything, self-aware of yourself, everything. And you know, it's awesome. It's honestly, it's one of the most amazing feelings I think there is to feel.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I don't think I've ever felt anything better than when you connect. When you're really connecting and you're up there, any feeling. Like I love that you just said that, because there's a lot of things that feel pleasurable, good, and you know what I think? Maybe you guys can touch on this. A couple of years ago, I got a fortune cookie, and I got the weirdest message. I've had fortune cookies plenty of times. It said, find a way to release oxytocin without touch and change the world. And I was like, what the hell? On a fortune cookie? And I didn't even know what oxytocin was. But what did it do? It put a creative mind to work. What is oxytocin? How does it work? And what I'm starting to uncover is that what I feel like is that feeling is Akeem, is I'm thinking that's oxytocin release. Because the only other time they've proven in science to get oxytocin release is childbirth, child labor, breastfeeding, and it's that mother, the bonding feeling. And with a dog as well, for some reason, dogs and humans have that oxytocin release together when they first have that first intimate bond. Like, I love this dog like a child, like, and this dog loves me so much. And I think that's what it is. I think it's the oxytocin hormones coming out naturally when we get up there. And that doesn't usually happen for a human unless you're in those other states, You know?
Heaven on earth. What would heaven feel like to you if you
Yes.
could imagine
That's
heaven on earth?
perfect example.
Those small moments.
That goes to
Yep.
my poem. So my poem, when I meditate, you get that black canvas. Once you get that black, as you can see, I'm sorry, I'm crying. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Crying's good when you meditate.
I'm sorry.
I cry when I pray almost every time.
So anyways, that goes to my poem. When I get to that black canvas and I got nothing but black, there's nothing else around me, there's no sound, no space, no nothing. You control your breath and you listen to your heart and you control your breath and you breathe in as deep as you can. If you want to try it.
To your stomach.
You know?
To your stomach.
So
all the way down.
close your eyes and put your hand on your chest, right? And then you get that black canvas and then deep breath as deep as you can go. And then hold it and then release it as slow as you can go. And then hold it and then bring it back up. So like you were saying, the box movement,
breathing.
if
Yeah,
you will.
box breathing. Yep.
But I do real deep breaths and then I release real slow.
They say that
As
yoga
I'm doing
breathe
that,
4 breaths a minute.
as I'm doing that, I'm feeling my heartbeat. My heartbeat is slowing down as well. And I feel peace. I feel calm. And I say my poem to myself. My poem is basically that poem I read to you. I can read it here again.
Do it.
That's
What's up
just,
with you here?
I am just a boy, you see. I sit under my willow tree. I came here to be quiet and to see. And as I say that, I picture my willow tree. It's up on a hill. There's a nice mountain in the background. Nice little valley and a village down below. Everything's green and lush and I can see all the trees and the birds are singing. The wind's blowing. It's a nice clear day. It's a beautiful place. So that's what I'm envisioning when I say that first piece. I'm just a boy you see. I sit under my willow tree. I came here to be quiet and to see. An old man comes up and sits with me. Oh, I forget the rest of it. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Oh.
It's all right.
Oh. Hold on.
While you're grabbing that, one thing I want to point out to people in the
Right
community.
here. It's right here.
Having that safe space when you go into meditation is huge. Like to visualize a space. Like I use an open field. So like he uses the willow tree. Like I don't know if you do too, Akeem, but like having a starting point, like when you get in, like I always do as well. Like I have a spot where I go and then I try to go from
my starting point. Yeah, my starting point always goes with I try to picture myself in kind of like a 3D, my thoughts, make them 3D. And it's always starts with me in that darkness. And then it's stamped like it just comes from, I don't know where it comes from, but it just starts to just lighten up. It's like I start to see colors. Now I can taste colors and it's extravagant.
Yes. So that's exactly what I do. You start, instead of painting and people paint with a white canvas, I can't do that. There's too much light. There's too much bright, you know. So what I do, I mean, if you want to do it, if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way. But I start with the black canvas because when I close my eyes, everything's black. I can't see anything, you know. So that's why I have that black.
Yeah,
canvas
because
and then
everything comes up from let there be light.
Right. Exactly.
You know what exactly. Me too? I just want to tell you what my intuition said, John, right when you said that some people do the light canvas. My first thought was blinded by the light. Like I could just picture someone going in and it's just, you don't know what to do. You just blinded.
Right.
Maybe that's what that meant. I don't know, but that's just instantly came to like think of what he just said. Blinded by the light. You gotta get dark in there first.
Right. So I'll start that poem over. It goes, I'm just that boy. Well, I'm just a boy you see. I sit under my willow tree. I came here to be quiet and to see. An old man comes and sits with me. We have a talk and drink some tea. This man so brave and wise, that much I can see. But what does all this mean to me? This feeling deep down inside of me. I'm his past and he's my yet to be. I am him and he is me. We are one, what can't you see? As we sit under this great big tree. He says to me, look at the trees, the mountains, the stars, the air we breathe. Everything you see is you and me. For we are nothing more than energy. And that's kind of where I go off, and I just have that meditative state and just focus on that.
So you start with that every time you meditate, John?
Well, I start with like the first like maybe 2 verses or so. So I start
your
with me.
video's gone. I don't know if you know that already, but your video's shut off. There you are.
There we go.
Because that's
So
actually a good point. The reason I'm asking you is everyone has different things that work in meditation. So that's actually huge. Because like me, I didn't even think like to have like a specific entry point. And like I've never when people ask me how I meditate, I've never brought up that open green field that I started. Because I just thought that I didn't even think that had to be a step. But hearing that you both do something similar in your own way, I was like, wow, maybe that is actually a huge point that I leave out when I teach people. If I'm doing a guided meditation with somebody, we always visualize to get where we're going. But if someone just asks me, hey, how do you meditate? Like I never tell them that part. Like I didn't like that's actually huge now. Now I'm always going to think to tell them like you got to get to I always tell them to get to a safe and calm place, but I tell them to like more feel it, not visualize it. But that's a huge part because I always visualize that safe and calm space too.
So for me,
it's kind of like the creation story. It's the creation of everything.
Yeah.
You go from darkness to light, but you got to start somewhere.
And you're a boy.
You can't.
You're the young boy,
Go
and
ahead.
you're the old man all at once.
Yeah, and the old man all at once.
And then from there you're connected, and then we're nothing more than energy. So then it's like you and me and God, we're nothing more than energy, and that's my connection. So hey, how you doing?
Hey, have either of you guys? I'm sure you both have.
Exactly.
Have you done the inner child meditation and any type of inner child meditation where you go back and talk to young you?
Yep.
I bet you're both going to agree with this. And when anyone asks me about different types of meditations, that's always the first one I try to recommend to people, besides silent meditation, because I don't know if you guys had the same experience. Every time I go and talk to young Alex, it's it's hard. It's literally tying into what John Nakeem keeps saying is that we're multi-dimensional. We're never stopping. Like when I go see little Alex, it's not memories of little Alex. It's literally little Alex with his own mind.
Little
Alex.
Alex.
Like having a conversation we didn't have before. And he's literally like things that I didn't say when I was that age. And it's I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but that's one of the most deepest things. And it really relates to your poem, John. And that's how it resonated with me big time. Because when I see little Alex, and I visualize him and I'm deep in meditative state, he's his own person. He's me, but he's not me thinking for him. He's thinking for himself, telling me what he wants to tell me. Same with future Alex. It's not me telling future Alex what I want to say. It's literally future Alex like, hey, man, have you tried this yet? What do you think is going to happen when you try that? And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, thank you. It's like, and people really
you got to learn to, you got to thank yourself.
Meditation. That's huge. And that's where the multi-dimension comes in. Little Alex is still alive somewhere else. He's 30-year-old awesome. Alex is right here right now. 10-year-old Alex is somewhere else right now, living 10-year-old Alex's life.
Right. That's right.
And that's the most beautiful part about the inner child meditation when you do it right. It's mind-blowing. Well, the first time I did that, and I did it with Jay Shetty. He used to be my life coach. We did that as a group, and it literally made me cry like a bitch. Like, dude.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. Like, let's go in depth with that.
Yeah.
If we go in depth with that a little bit more with the inner child meditation, right? And you go into an inner child meditation, you bring someone back to their childhood, and they're able to talk to themselves in that manner, in that moment, right? Then, if there was something there at that moment, like a trauma or something, you could really help them with that and say, okay, well, do it. That's what QHHT is all about. That's the stuff that I want to do. So
is that younger version of you when you're talking to younger version of you so think back now when you were actually a kid. Get out of meditation state. You were actually a kid. You hear voices in your head. You hear thoughts that randomly come. Is that essential? I'm a philosopher in my brain. Like I always want to figure out why. I haven't figured that one out yet. But is that what's happening when you're meditating at 30, talking to 10-year-old Alex? Is that when I was really 10 and I was just hearing random thoughts? Is that what that was? Was that 30-year-old Alex in the future coming back to tell you and they're like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
wild.
if that's what you're tapping into, then yes.
It's wild.
It's your intent when you go into that meditation state that sets the tone for the meditation
Well,
and
I
who
mean
you
the little
connect to.
Alex,
Yep,
little
of
So
where you're
so
going, your
you
frequency.
have to go with intent.
right.
So if
Hold on,
so if you go with no intent, if you go with no intent, you might go to little Alex all the time because little Alex is full of wonder and he wants to know everything and
Yeah.
he has all the wonder in the world, and that's what you go back to because that's the point in your life when you had all that wonder. So that's why you keep on tapping back into it. So if you go with intent, you can tap into whatever you want. So I
Right.
mean, if I want to sit here and tap into to the Holy Mary, you know, I could tap into the Holy Mary and see her above me, and she's looking down upon me, and she has her cloak and she puts it around me, and she gives me her protection from any negative energies that want to come at me. I can call on the archangels to come down
Oh, yeah.
and give me their protection. And every time I do that, you get the chills, and that's when you know it's those chills, it's those goosebumps. That's when you know you got that connection.
Yep.
Like for me, when I was crying, that was me not crying out of sadness, but out of pure love.
Yes.
When I was sitting there and I said, I'm sorry, I'm crying. That's because I made a connection. It was pure love. It was a quick split second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're here, and then you know I'm back to this
Yeah.
because you guys are talking, so I need to come back to this now.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
um,
Bro, when I
there
first
are
started
people.
praying, I thought I was weird
There's some.
crying, and I had to ask other people. Like, and when I started talking to really connected people, they're like, "Oh, you should cry every time." And I'm like, "Really? Okay." I feel because and it was the same thing you said. It was pure love. I was crying, and I didn't know why I
Right.
was crying when I first started praying. I'm like, "Why am I crying?" I'm like, "This is the most beautiful
Well,
thing." I'm not sad. Like, this is awesome. I'm like, "Why am I crying?" Though it's like, is that? I don't know how else to explain that. Like, why do you cry though? Like, what does that to you? I know it's
Because
love. I
that's
think
know
about
it's
the
feeling, but
happy.
it's
pure happiness.
that's what you call the heart frequency. Okay, that is the love frequency. That's the divine mother. Okay, what people have to understand is that they have the divine mother and the divine masculine inside them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so there's the woman and there's the man in
Yep.
everybody.
Yep.
Okay, so you got the pure love and then you got the protective shield. uh, I mean, and then when you your meditation goes where you direct it,
Right.
and for me, I was crying because I made that pure love connection. I don't know.
It's funny. I reached out to John. I talked to you about it first, and then we were already disconnected that night. But the other night I did a meditation, and I hit up Akeem right afterwards because I was upset. And it was after you and I were doing the QHHT hypnosis stuff, and I was like, I need to get deeper. And I did a 2-hour guided QHHT to go to a past life regression to find old lives, and I was so deeply connected. But and it was a beautiful session until they got to the point you're in front of this door. Open the door. I opened the door, go through who are you, where are you, what life, nothing was there. It was just like space again, just like light. And I'm like, why can't I get from this deep level of meditation to that last life I had? Like, why? Like, I got all the way back to like 3 years old, 2 years old, and then I'm like, there's nothing in here from 1 year old. I can't find it. I'm like,
I
or infant in
I
the sack coming out, like I can't find it.
I have those troubles too. When I try to go back, I want to get like a whole story. Like if I go back and I find out that I lived in Egypt, which I was there at one point.
Same.
So if I was to go back to that life in Egypt, now the 3D John wants to find out what was his life like from birth to death and tell me every story because I can't get
Right.
enough, but it doesn't happen like that. It's like, hey, here's a flash, here's what you were, or
And what you did, and yep.
and then bam, you're gone. It's like, okay, so I know I have you, I can connect to you now. That's pretty cool.
So you don't get full visions when you go back into past lives, either of you? Like you don't see, like it's not the same as
That's
in the
where
meditative visualization world. It's like quick. Maybe that's why I missed it.
That's where the
It's like
hypnosis.
it's like a feeling of deja vu
Yeah.
in a sense.
Mm.
So
Gotcha.
it's like you get
You're frozen to keep. Probably about to drop a gem on us.
Get this kind of like.
Oh, you're frozen. You were frozen. You just came back. Oh, you're frozen again.
Darren, can you take Bear out, please?
No.
Can you take Bear out, please? After you're done. Can you take Bear out, please? After you're done. Thank you.
I'm gonna walk by dog.
Darren's gonna take
Keep
you.
you
Darren's
frozen.
gonna take you.
Guys, I don't want to cut this short anyway, but I didn't want to make it too long because it is a podcast episode. But that doesn't mean we can't have a part 2 and a part 3 and a part 4.
Right. Well, I mean, it's all good stuff, you know.
Yeah. Steve, you're on double screens. What's happening? You're frozen in one.
So
he's channeling. He's on 2 screens at once.
So what I was thinking, man, with your,
he's back.
We can edit. Can we edit this out or no?
What do you mean?
Is it edited or is it being posted right now?
It's not live yet. I'll be honest. I don't do editing. For my editing, what I'll do is I'll take a clip from this, like something we talked about that was like I felt really relevant. I'll put it in the beginning of the video. I do a little quick ARvibes, like down, it shows the logo, and then it goes right to the beginning. And I don't like my podcast being like a lot of others out there. I like it to be pure raw. Like I am not trying to be just this celebrity. Like let's make this perfect. Let's clean it up. Like I want people to see raw, genuine. This isn't MTV. This is people who want to help you awaken. And one other thing I want to mention real quick is the Journey Guide program. Like a lot of people don't really get what the ARvibes Journey Guide program is. And essentially I hate calling it life coaching because I've had 4 or 5 different life coaches throughout my journey that I would pay for, and they weren't coaching. It was always a guide in a sense. So like when I created this program, the Journey Guide program, it was to guide people along this awakening. Like just for example, having someone like Akeem, if before I met him, like, and I haven't talked to you enough, Akeem, like if I met you when I was first awakening, you would be a perfect person to have as a guide. You know what I mean? Like, because if you're going down an awakening and you have no clue what's happening, you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. And you can think you know what to do. You can listen to your head that tells you go seek this. And that's like, for me, I had nobody when I started waking up. And I think that's a beautiful thing as well, because that makes it so much more pure. And it's like, you just keep going and going yourself. Yeah. But when you start to connect with other people who experience what you experience, it's the most beautiful thing. It's like, wow, like they know what I know. Like they get me.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's where the guide comes in. And Mike was in my, he still is. He was one of my, I don't even like call him a client. He's my friend. He's one of my best friends. He was in the Journey Guide programming, but it's more of a, for me, it's more of a, I'm going to guide you until we get to a level where I can't guide you anymore. Now you're at the same level as me. We need to work together now to keep progressing and seeking in our journey. Like Akeem, if you ever, you couldn't call me and ask me to be your journey guide. I'd be like, what are you talking about? You probably know 10 times more things than I know. I would be calling you as a journey guide. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not life coaching. It's let us help you while you go through this process before you feel like you're crazy or you go too deep in the wrong direction and then you don't know where you're going.
Everyone needs that outlet. Well, not even that outlet. It's one of those things in where, imagine there's a big puzzle, and when you're too close to the puzzle, you can't even see what the it is.
Right.
And what pieces are missing. You take a step back, you humble yourself, you look out, pretty much I like to call it out in the ocean. You look out to the ocean, and it's ocean out there, and there's sharks, there's all sorts of strange things, but look, but through the foggy lens, you see kind of yourself, either forward, backwards, wherever you may land. And yourself may not look like yourself physically, but it's you no matter what you think. And all the things in that ocean is you. Yep. But you're afraid of yourself because you don't want to think that you can be a great white shark, or you can be an octopus with 8 arms, or you could be this, because self-doubt is the most, is self-doubt is what people make their money off now these days.
Yep. 100%.
So if I could get you to doubt yourself, I could get you to buy anything.
Yep. 100%.
Make your hair longer, make you this, make you skinnier, make you this, make you this. When you could do it with your own willpower. Your own willpower could do it.
100%.
But people don't look to that. Their thoughts are pretty much broadcasted, so they don't have to think. It's that lazy now. thinking is
It's
a
broadcasted
chore
for
for
them,
people.
right?
Exactly.
Seeking is a chore.
And then it makes him a slave to the system because now it's being broadcast. I've said it. He who controls the narrative controls the population.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
he who controls the narrative controls the population. Now that goes for everything from government to corporations to
Yeah.
advertising to friends to family to nature. I mean, it
Yep.
just it's frequency, man.
I
It's
want to
It
point out
frequency.
is.
something else that I learned last night. Well, I didn't learn it. It's something I've already like felt internally, and I say to people. But I watched a TED talk last night, and this is going to be I think this will be a big message for people, not you guys, but like people watching. Like this whole TED talk was about. It was from a neurologist and a neuroscience something. I forget the whole title, but she was talking. She was from the University of Vancouver. She's like, every single time you force yourself to learn something new, even if it's one time, you sit down and watch a video on quantum physics, something you have no
Yeah.
idea about. It's in your head for the rest of your life. You might
Yep.
hear it again 10 years from now. And what I got from that is it was one of the most beautiful connections because, like, when you realize the wisest people in this world, they just seek other
Quantum
things. Like,
physics,
what don't I
baby.
know? What
Yo,
don't I know?
metaphysics. Yep.
Metaphysics, hell yeah.
You already know.
Dude, but
You
just watching
already
that
know.
video, like I was connected, and she's like, and for anyone who didn't get this, what I just taught you about your human brain, it will never leave you now. It might leave you tomorrow. If you learn to play the piano tomorrow, you come back the next day, you remember everything. You take 2 weeks off, you come back, you don't have any clue what you did. And it's like, what the hell? I don't know. No, you stopped, and you got to get through that breakthrough if you want to master something. If you want to master something, you got to get into flow state. You got to push yourself through it, through the frustration
And,
that I can't do it. And if you want to just get
and
something in your DNA
yes.
real quick and in your code, just learn it quick one time, and it'll stay. You
Yes.
won't remember it forever, but it will be there forever. You know?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's so true because like I forgot where I was going with that. Holy crap.
It's part of the channeling, bro.
It was like right there, and it's like I lost it. I can't. As soon as I came back, I lost it.
John, there was one time you and I were talking, and it was a deep connection. And I asked you a question, and the response you had was, "The channel hasn't seen that yet," and you had to go like, and I was like, "Oh, I totally was like, okay, I get it."
That's because
you haven't seen something yet.
That's because I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you, and I have my eyes closed and I'm focused. Now, when I open my eyes, I'm back to 3D, and I can't. You know what I mean? I'm so I'm
Yeah,
realizing.
you're down. Yeah.
So,
all right, guys.
but
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to have a part 2 or part 3 because it is a podcast. We could go for 3-4 hours, but no one's gonna watch all that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are gonna come back for a part 2. I know you are. So
Right,
what
right.
I'm gonna do to wrap up this one podcast episode is I'm gonna put you both on blast and give me, Akeem, I'll start with you, the best gem that you can drop for anybody in this community who's, again, might be going through a spiritual awakening, like people told me you can't just go through an awakening, and I totally disagreed. If you start seeking, yes, you can. So like,
thank you.
people that want to go through an
Scott.
awakening,
Yeah.
somebody who feels like they're going through it, who's questioning maybe I'm going through it, give one gem, like the best piece of info you can throw right now. Anything you want, anything related, give one gem, and then when he's done, John, just one last gem for the community, and then we'll have a part 2 another day. So, Akeem, anything you want, share with the community. Just one gem you want to leave in their heads to make them walk away like, it's going to sit there. Plant the seed, Akeem. Plant the seed. That's all you guys do. Plant the seed, both of you.
All right. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Plant the seed for these people.
One thing I will say, if you do anything, learn quantum physics.
Okay.
If you do anything, learn quantum physics, quantum possibilities. And when you wake up every morning, remember, you have quantum possibilities of doing whatever you would like to do. There's nothing impossible. You are infinite. Don't forget that.
I love it.
Never.
When I give my last
That's
gem, I'm tying my last gem to yours because that was beautiful. John,
So
what's your last one gem for everybody?
I think that's excellent,
Hey.
man, because metaphysics, I can't even say it. Metaphysics is definitely where, is definitely where the answers are. And I held up this book. Now, this book was given to me because I had the law of attraction in my hands, because I put it out there saying I've been meditating and I've learned about metaphysics and the quantum realm and so on and so forth. And then my friend's like, oh, well, I got a book. So she gave me that book. No, I haven't read it. I just get my information from meditating. So with
Yeah.
that being said, with that being said, I would say, look inside yourself. My answer, my last message to everybody is look inside yourself. The answers are always within. You're never alone.
Walk on the inside.
You have so many people with you behind your back, and all you have to do is say their name. Think, quiet your mind.
They're there.
And they're there. Whatever you want to talk about, make your peace, get that hug, whatever you need. They're there for you. Anybody. There. Yes. Look inside yourself for the information you seek. Look inside yourself for the healing that you need. You can't get that from the external source. That external source that you try to go for to make you feel better, you're not going to get it from that external source. You're going to get it from within.
You already have.
You feel like you did, but you did.
So the answers are always within. Look within. Thank you.
I'm going to use 2 gems for my bye-bye because I'm tying it to both of yours because those were beautiful. First with Akeem's. For anyone who has never heard about the double slit experiment, go on YouTube, search double slit experiment. You're going to learn about wave particle and how one single molecule of light makes its own conscious decisions of how it wants to travel. And you know when it doesn't? When the human eye observes it. And it sounds crazy, but if you go look at a video on the double slit experiment, it's to the point where quantum physicists are saying, if you could explain that, there's a Nobel Prize for you because we still can't explain it. We can show you it, we can prove it, but we can't explain it. So again, look up double slit experiment and it'll make you want to understand quantum physics. And even if you think it's the hardest thing to learn, if you start reading, you'll learn it. That's what we're trying to point out. If you look into anything in this world, anything, you can learn it. Just look into it and start seeking. And then to John's going inside, I posted a status earlier and I want to hit on it one more time because I talked about it before we went live and they both agreed. If you don't want to call it God, that's fine. Source, creator, whatever. I want to point out that I was never raised on religion, and I fought myself during my awakening to call the source God. I would just say the universe. I couldn't do it. And I had one very connected spiritual friend who said, just trust me, Alex. Just try. Be open-minded and just try when you're meditating next time, praying to call it God and see what happens. And my life changed when I literally just gave it to God and didn't say you're the universe, this, because that's doubt. I was doubting that God is God. I'm like, what is God? But once I said God and started talking to God, magic started happening. And the thing I want to point out is if you can sit your body down and not move, close your eyes and talk to God out loud in your head, however you want, literally from your heart, have a conversation with God, you will get answers, whether it's right into your ears, whether it's vision, whether something in your room moves, whether you go outside the next day and you see the clouds answer your question, you will get those answers. But if you have never had a conversation with God and felt answers, I promise you don't know yourself. And I know it sounds egotistical and ignorant to say, but I can stand by that in my heart confidently. You don't know who you are because you haven't woken up yet. If you have not had that conversation, any conversation, and cried and felt it in your heart, there's no way you could be awake right now. You're living in the 3D world fully because you're fighting on, is this real or not? Well, you'll know it's real. There's no, I don't even like the word belief because once you make that connection, there's nothing to believe. It's more than real. It's like, how do you even question if it's real when you make that connection? And they're both shaking their heads like, oh yeah, we get that.
Yep.
And once you make that connection, you don't get to say, I think that God's real. No, you know. It's you just know. There's no questioning it. And you have to experience it to know. So those are our gems. Mike didn't make it back. That's all right. Guys, I appreciate both of you. I've been dying to have this podcast. I'm pumped up. I can't wait to get this posted on YouTube and on the page. And we need to have this again. We need to have this again. And if you guys have topics, let me know next time because we can go in many directions.
Well, I mean, we could talk about that. I mean, what we can do is every week, if you want, we can put up quotes or whatever.
I already do stuff like that, but hey, we can get
right. So we all throw the quotes up there, and then we come on weekly and we discuss them.
All right,
and we just go deep in thought about it.
You can also have people throw you ideas. You can
True.
put up
Yeah.
all those things and
That's
have
what I was trying to
people.
get
What
comments.
what do you
Whatever
guys
they want.
what do you guys want to know about?
Yeah.
So, so tell us what you guys want to know about, and we could talk about it.
Good point.
You know.
Good point.
Yep.
Well, fellas, I appreciate you both. Anyone who stayed on and watched this whole thing,
Hey,
it's not live.
love.
It is live. I hope you learned something. Feel free to ask me any questions. If you guys are open to people reaching out to you right now, just
Yep.
share your social media. So if someone's like, hey, I loved what Akeem was saying, I loved what John was saying, and they have questions, if you guys are okay with that, real quick, just Akeem, you first, and then John, just tell people where they can find you if you're open to people like reaching out with some questions from what they see here. If you're all right
You
with that,
can
let them know.
find me on Facebook, Akeem Stevenson, Twitter, Instagram also under AK44M, stuff like that. Just reach out to me anytime. All right,
Yeah.
peace and love.
I basically just have the Facebook here, so I'll just put a comment on the video when it goes
Sweet.
up there, and then you guys want to reach out to me that way, send me a direct message or whatever, and I'll be good.
And soon we can all get in person. And I want to have big meditation events. I want to do some big stuff. Like COVID's making the world weird, but I want to like get people out. I want to have events and like I want people to get into one setting and feel the energy and be like, what the hell's happening here? And like that's another thing that puts you that awakening. It's like, what is happening? This is amazing. Like, where am I?
You're talking about your Alex. I mean, I don't know if you might. Maybe we can talk after the video. Yeah. I'll talk to you after the video, man.
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Community, thank you again. We'll do this again.
Community.
All right, Akeem, nice to meet you, man.
Love.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too, man. Always.
All right.
Until next time.
All right, take it easy.
See you guys.
All right.